guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a recommendation video for marriage of convenience romances. These are both historical and contemporary. I love a good marriage of convenience. This was inspired because I just read a marriage of convenience romance that I had no idea was marriage of convenience, and I was obsessed. They had to figure out how to get along, and they slowly fall in love after they're married, and so I just love the angst that comes with marriage of convenience romances, so I will go ahead and get to the recommendations. The first one that inspired this video is definitely Tempt Me at Twilight by Lisa Kleypas. I had no idea that this was a marriage of convenience, and so I was reading it, and he, the hero, ruins the heroine on purpose, and he is like, I know what I want, and I want you. So he kind of finagles it in a way that they are caught together, and he's like, alright, we're getting married then, and she is like, what? And doesn't know if she wants to go along with it, and she's actually being courted by someone else, but then that person dumps her because she's not of high class enough, and so she is horrified, and the hero's like, you've been courted by a boy, come be courted by a man. And so they have a marriage of convenience, but he has a past. He doesn't think people will stick around and care for him because of his past, so he doesn't think they'll ever fall in love with one another. She doesn't think she'd ever fall in love with him, but they slowly fall for each other, and it is just so good. And there's a little bit of mystery involved at the end when someone gets kidnapped, and I just really love this one, and I loved how it was marriage of convenience, but it's because the hero just wanted the heroine so badly. And I know that sounds horrible, thinking like he ruined her on her purpose, but he knows what he wants, and he gets what he wants, so I love this one. Another historical romance I have to share is Ravished by Amanda Quick. Our hero and our heroine are very interesting characters because our hero is feared by like everybody. He is thought to have murdered his fiance, and so people are terrified of him, and our heroine is an archaeologist, and she loves fossils, and like paleontologist, she has looked in this cave at fossils, and she's very protective of this cave. She sees strange men going in and out of this cave, realizes they're using it to smuggle things, tells our hero, and he's like, I'll take care of it. But she's a little nosy, so when she sees the smugglers back, she goes down there too. Her and the hero get trapped in the cave together because the tide comes in. They spend the night together, and she's ruined. So it's a marriage of convenience because she is ruined. Most of these are marriage of conveniences because they get ruined together, and I just love that so much because there's already like a little bit of tension and pining between them, and then they're forced to marry each other. I love it. This one though, she gets very, very overprotective of him and what society thinks of him, and it is just so good. I really, really love this one, and I just love the relationship that they have and how sweet the romance is, so I highly recommend this. For a contemporary romance, I have The Marriage Effect by Carlos Renson. This is the third book in the series, but I read it as a standalone. I have not read the other books in the series yet, but this one is so good. Our hero wants custody of his younger sisters, but his other brother is fighting for custody, and so the hero is a football player, and he needs to look like a better father figure for them so that he gets custody and gets to keep custody of them. So he realizes he's gotta get settled down. Our heroine, she is a model, and I don't remember why she has to get married. She has to get married for some reason, or she just volunteers for it. Maybe she needs money. I read this book over a year ago, so I don't remember why she needs to get married, but she is really good friends with the woman, I think, who owns the team, and so she hears about his dilemma, and she's like, I will marry you. And so then they have a marriage of convenience, and he is super resistant at first, but they don't tell his sisters that it's fake, and so she gets really attached to the sisters. And I love the Ward Sister series, which is a spin-off of this, so I've already seen the couple married and happily in love in those books, so it was really fun going back to their origin, having a football player. He's super grumpy and just wants to focus on his career and being a good father figure for his sisters, and I just really, really love this book so much. It was a really fun marriage of convenience because he tries so hard to resist her and his temptation for her, but obviously he can't, so this was a great marriage of convenience as a contemporary romance. Another one I have is The Penalty Box by Odette Stone, and I know someone commented saying this was like the worst book they ever read. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I thought it was such a good audiobook. I listened to the entirety of it in a road trip I was taking, and I thought it was so much fun. Our hero is a hockey player, and he has ties to the mafia, so the police are after him, and so his hockey team is like, your image needs a lot of help. So they decide to find him a wife so that he can look like a better man and not someone who gets in trouble with the law. So his like PR team like tries to find women, and he'll pay whoever it is to be his wife, and our heroine really needs money because her brother owes some bad guys money, and she has inherited that debt, and they will continuously take money from her even if the debt's paid in full, and so she also works in PR, so they're like, this is perfect. It'll look like you guys have known each other for a while, and you get the money you need. So they get a marriage of convenience, and she has to move in with him, and then there's like a neighbor that's been hitting on her, even though she's technically married to him, and I just had a lot of fun with this. It was a little bit of suspense in there. He's a hockey player, so she goes to some of his games and feels very protective of him, and I really, really love this. I love hockey romances though, so I really love that this was a marriage of convenience hockey romance, just like the previous one was football. I love a good sports romance, so I really love this one. Then we have a historical that is not they got married because they were caught together, and that is The Bride by Julie Garwood. This one is just fabulous. I love Julie Garwood, though I just read my first dud by her, which made me sad, but everything else I've loved by her. This one is a marriage of convenience because our heroine and her hero are forced to get married by the king, and our heroine is so angry about that. Her and her sister are actually forced to marry our hero and another person, and she's English, he's Scottish. The Scottish hate the English, and so I remember she does not wear white on purpose to her wedding, so I don't know why she's wearing white on this cover. But I read this for my book club Historical Hellions. We had such a fun time talking about this book, and her and the hero really butt heads. She is like, I'm never gonna love you, this is never gonna be a real marriage, and he is so overprotective of her, but I really like that in a hero. I don't know why, but the overprotective alpha hero I don't normally like super love in contemporary, but once you put it in a historical, I'm like, yes, protect her, she is yours. And I don't know why, but I really love it in historical. So this one was a really fun historical romance where it was like governed that they had to get married, and people at the keep really don't like her because she is English, but she's trying to make her place there. So it was just so good. Another all-time favorite of mine is Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie Ann Cole. This one is a marriage of convenience because of insurance. So our heroine struggles with an eating disorder, so know that going in, this does talk about food and her ability to eat because of specific trauma in her past, and her family is not that great, so she does not have insurance from them. She like sneaks in and out and doesn't really have someone raising her, and so our hero is working construction next to where she goes to school, and she breaks down and they strike up a friendship because he helps her, and he realizes very quickly that something is wrong, and they become really good friends. It is an age gap, he's a little bit older, but he offers to marry her so that she can be taken care of and have his insurance, and it's very much slow burn, friends to lovers. I was obsessed with their romance and the slow burn of it, and of course we get into the dilemma of I'm too old for her, this can't work, but he has grandparents that he takes her to like dinner with, and it's just really cute watching their romance progress, and they were living together, and then they like obviously sparks are flying, and so this one is just one of my favorites. I love it so much, but it is very slow burn, so know that they become really good friends first before giving into something more. Then I have an oldie but a goodie, but I wanted to mention it anyways. I think this is the last book this author's come out with recently, and this came out in like 2019. I need more from this author, but that is Marriage for One by Ella Mays. This one is such a good marriage of convenience. Definitely very, very, very slow burn. Very, very grumpy hero. It's Jack and Rose, and they do make Titanic references, but I love at the end of each chapter she has like the number of times Jack has smiled, and she has like a count after every one of her chapters, which I think is really funny because he's that much of a grump. But she was supposed to get married to someone, and in someone's will they left this place for her coffee shop to her husband. She doesn't get married, so she's gonna lose what she's been building up for at this coffee shop. I think it's a coffee shop, and so Jack needs something out of it and offers to have a marriage of convenience with her. It has been 3 years since I read this. I read the arc of this because I thought the cover looked like Sam Heughan, so I wanted the arc. So I have not read this book in a long time, but I just remember it was so slow burn, but it was just so, so good, and I really love this one. So if you want a slow burn marriage of convenience that is contemporary, that they are both getting something out of the marriage, I definitely recommend reading this one. Then I have one that so many people know about, and that is Zenni by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This one is so fun because Zenni goes to visit her, I forget, it was a relative and her aunt. So she goes to New York to clear out her aunt's stuff, and in the will it says that Zenni and the hero have to get married in order to inherit the stuff from the will. And they're like, why not? I really love the hero in this. He's Scottish, and he is just a really fun character, and I love their dynamics and how just friendly and open and honest they were with each other. And it's a very short and quick book, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I highly recommend picking it up for a very unconventional marriage of convenience where it's in a will and they have to get married and to inherit, but then they start really falling for each other, and it was really cute. The next one I have is one that is based on lies, but that is This God of Mine by Sophie Jordan. In this one, our heroine is trying to get out of a bad marriage, so she claims that she's pregnant and that she's been ruined, and so obviously she can't marry who she was supposed to marry, and so she ends up I don't remember how she gets there, but she ends up going to the Scottish keep, and the hero is a Scottish laird, and it is a prophecy that his entire family is cursed, and the men die before the birth of their first son. And so the hero's like easy peasy, I'm not gonna get married and I'm not gonna have children. Well, the heroine is there, and so he's like, I can marry you and raise your child like mine, have a child, and I won't have to die because it's not gonna be my child. She's not really pregnant. She doesn't tell him that she's not really pregnant, so they get married, and obviously secrets are gonna unravel and he's gonna be a little bit angry, but I really enjoy this one. I love a good Scottish romance. As you can tell, there's a bunch of Scottish ones on this list, but I do acknowledge she should not have lied to him, but it ended up being a really good romance. And the last one I have is one where they are ruined, and that is The Spinster and the Rake by Eva Devon. This one, our heroine is in the library during a party and she's reading because she's a bookish spinster wallflower. She's not like super spinstery though, she's not that old. Our hero is thought to be on the autism spectrum, so he doesn't really get social cues and society doesn't know what to think of him, so they only respect him though because I believe he's a duke, yes. So he's like the icy duke, and he walks into his library and he's like, who the heck are you? But he's dressed in really servant-like clothing, like really dirty, because women throw themselves at him all the time because they want to get married and have his title and try to get into precarious situations to marry him, and he's just like, no, I don't want that, like I'm just gonna be single forever, it's fine. And so he sees her and he's like, what are you doing here? And like it happens where he's like, leave or I'll kiss you, and she's like, no you won't. So he kisses her and someone comes in and they're ruined and it's their romance, and I loved how sweet this romance was. She's so just calm with him. She's very patient with him, especially because he is on the autism spectrum, and normally people in society just don't understand him and don't give him the time of day and have jumped to conclusions about him, but she's very understanding, wants to learn how to be there for him and be a good wife to him, and so I really enjoy this one. He's not really a rake either, so I know whenever I talk about this, what my friends do, we're like, the cover, the title doesn't really make the most sense, so just ignore that, but I thought this was cute as well, and I think that just a lot of the historicals that have marriage of convenience are so cute and adorable because they get a marriage of convenience and then slowly fall in love with each other, and they never want to fall in love with each other, so that's my favorite part of marriage of conveniences, but really love this one. And those are some of my favorite marriage of conveniences I have to recommend to you. I know that I'm really lacking in the contemporary aspect, but that's just because this is really common in historicals and I'm always reading historical romances. If you have any more contemporary recommendations that are not mafia or dark, I would be really interested in hearing those, but of course if you have any historicals I would love to hear, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.